Harmonizing their way into the hearts of millions, Daryl Hall and John Oates were once considered the music world's darlings. However, a chilly war of treachery and vanity dovetailed into their rapid ascent to stardom. Oates, who is now 76 years old, accuses Hall of damaging his image and discovers that Hall is plotting to seize the spotlight. Fans are perplexed as to how a seemingly perfect relationship can be so cruelly broken by these allegations. Come with us as we reveal Daryl Hall's heinous treachery and how it tarnished Oates's character. They were once inseparable, but when Hall's egotism and ambition took hold, their once unbreakable relationship shattered, and now Hall and Oates are just two strangers performing songs they didn't make together. Legendary musical duo Daryl Hall and John Oates' story begins with a fortuitous encounter at Temple University in 1967, which eventually led to their legendary collaboration. Both teenage artists first crossed paths in an amateur Battle of the Bands event. They hit it off right away since they loved pop, rock, and soul music. Their natural connection, born of shared passion, blossomed into a partnership that would have a lasting impact on the music industry and transcend generations via the timeless melodies they composed. Daryl Hall, who is known for powerful, emotionally charged, and soulful vocals, stepped forward as the primary songwriter for several of their songs. The partnership advanced because to his melodic prowess and his ability to write songs that sell well and satisfy his creative needs. On the other hand, John Oates contributed a unique set of skills that were key to the team's success. Oates was just as good at business as Hall was creatively, and he was a musician to boot. Hall focused on creative and exploratory musical inquiry, while Oates contributed consistently, usefully, and skillfully on instruments, and the two formed a coherent team. The result was a synergy of planning and creativity, which was crucial to their meteoric rise to the top of the charts. However, they did not become famous overnight. Hall and Oates struggled to carve out a distinct sound in the late 1960s and early 1970s, when the music industry was quite competitive. After signing with Atlantic Records, they released many albums that were well received by critics but unable to break through commercially. The pair maintained their dogged pursuit of success while working with Tommy Mottola, who would later become a prominent player in the music business. In 1973, with the publication of Abandoned Luncheonette, their second album, they finally broke through. Hall and Oates reached a turning point with the release of She's Gone, the album's outstanding single. No, one was achieved by the soulful song with a meaningful message. Upon its re-release in 1976, it peaked at number 7 on the U.S. charts. This accomplishment laid the framework for their quick rise in the music industry, a pattern that would continue throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s. Their performance of She's Gone demonstrated their skill in blending soul, rock, and pop to connect with a wide range of listeners. When Hall and Oates signed with RCA Records following the success of She's Gone, their careers took off. Their reputation was shaped as they began to create a string of hit tunes. Their status as prominent performers in the music industry was solidified with the release of their first #1 hit song, Rich Girl, in 1977. This was the first of many successful songs by the group, which included Man-Eater, Private Eyes, Out of Touch, and I Can't Go For That, No Can Do. Their captivating blend of pop, rock, and soul won over listeners all over the globe. During this period, the duo released a string of massively successful albums, including the multi-platinum Voices, 1980, Private Eyes, 1981, and H2O, 1982. These albums showcase not just their best songs, but also their ability to adapt to the changing music industry of the time. Hall and Oates kept their music relevant in the 80s by blending classic pop elements with more contemporary sounds. They had never previously achieved such phenomenal global success. Hall and Oates were the most successful musical duet of all time, selling more records than any other duo in history. They were one of the most versatile and enduring artists of their period because of their ability to combine genres and appeal to a wide range of fans. Hall and Oates were gifted musicians who could move audiences with their upbeat pop songs or heartfelt ballads. Hall and Oates had cemented their place in music history by the end of the 1980s. Both the quantity and quality of their hit songs, as well as the impact they had on the industry for years to come, contributed to their stellar reputation. They redefined what it means to be a successful duo by pushing the boundaries of genre and sound while remaining true to their creative roots. An internal problem began to emerge despite the seeming success on the outside. While they were at the pinnacle of their musical career, cracks started to appear in their relationship. The need to maintain the Hall and Oates reputation was stifling Hall's creativity, and he was growing increasingly upset by this. He wanted to experiment with other styles, but Oates seemed content with their formula. The once harmonious teamwork devolved into a power battle over who got to decide how the project was to be developed. Take a look at their lives both before and after they met, and then we can get into the horrible betrayal that led to their breakup. The legendary pop-rock combo Hall and Oates may have made John Oates famous, but his solo work and accomplishments as a musician are just as noteworthy. Even before he became popular with Daryl Hall, he was already making music. His talents as a performer, composer, and producer have informed a lengthy career. Oates has always played a significant supporting role to Hall. His inventiveness extends beyond their hit songs, revealing his deep roots in Americana, folk, blues, and rock. Born on April 7, 1948, in New York City, John Oates spent his formative years in North Wales, Pennsylvania, where he honed his musical talents. The varied musical styles of the 1950s and 1960s, particularly folk and R&B, were his initial musical influences. He joined the local music scene as a youngster after picking up a guitar. His many musical influences, which began with doo-wop and soul, laid the framework for the eclectic blend of sounds that became his signature sound. Before Oates and Daryl Hall teamed up, he had been practicing guitar and writing songs. During his teenage years, he was active in a number of bands and started playing at nightclubs and community centers. Doc Watson, whose finger-picking approach influenced Oates' technique with its distinctive combination of Appalachian string band and Delta blues, and Mississippi John Hurt, whose music was a part of the folk music renaissance at the time, had a great impact on him. Oates' early inspirations greatly influenced his musical growth, helping him to create a varied sound palette that would be useful in his career. Despite Hall and Oates' enormous financial success, Oates' solo work shows a more personal and vulnerable side of his creative self. He is a talented guitarist and composer. Although Hall and Oates are most known for their catchy pop and soul songs, Oates has also explored folk and country music in her solo work. He showcases his talents and pays homage to the inspirations that molded his unique sound on his solo projects, such as Funk Shui 2000-2001 and Mississippi Mile 2001-2012. Deeply personal, Mississippi Mile explores the history of American music through a mashup of blues, country, and rock, highlighting Oates' enduring love for classic styles. A lifelong interest in exploring the history of American music is on full display in Oates' solo work. His reputation in the folk and Americana music scenes is enhanced by his many collaborations with other musicians from these scenes. He has had a significant effect on Americana music, and he continues to be an outspoken performer and preservationist for the genre. Supporting these underappreciated musical styles is a testament to Oates' commitment to his work and respect for earlier musical trailblazers. Producer and educator, Oates has left an indelible mark on the music industry. By sharing his wisdom and insights into the music business, he has helped many up-and-coming musicians launch successful careers. Both his peers and up-and-coming artists look up to him because of his talent for balancing commercial success with creative integrity. Aside from his work in music, John Oates is well known for his charitable work and dedication to the issues he believes in. Using his platform to draw attention to important social concerns, he has participated in a number of benefit performances and events throughout the years. His selflessness reveals his desire to serve others and make a positive impact via his influence. Oates has been active in the music industry as of late, playing, recording, and touring alone and with various collaborators. He is still very much a part of the music industry today, and his intense love for music is what keeps him going strong. Oates has been successful for a long time because he can change and grow without forgetting where he came from. He may be most known for his work with Hall and Oates, but his solo projects and industry impact show that he is a multi-talented musician with fresh ideas. The legacy of John Oates as a musician is closely tied to his achievements as a musical duo, as well as his commitment to experimenting with many styles while preserving the rich history of American music. His impressive career as a guitarist attests to his devotion to the art form, proficiency with the instrument, and reverence for his musical heroes. Where does Daryl Hall stand? Before and after meeting Oates, how was his personal life? For almost half a century, Daryl Hall has been one of the most distinctive and esteemed figures in American music. His career has been rich in variety and depth. Although he is best known for his work with the legendary band Hall and Oates, Hall has established himself as a musical icon with solo albums and EPs in pop, rock, soul, and modern music. He has emerged as a multi-talented and forward-thinking musician thanks to his unique singing voice, fresh viewpoint, and innovative musical techniques. Nevertheless, to really understand Daryl Hall's career, one must explore his life apart from Hall and Oates, which encompasses his solo work, influences, producer gigs, and lasting influence on modern music. On October 11, 1946, in the little village of Pottstown, Pennsylvania, close to Philadelphia, Daryl Franklin Hall came into this world. Because of his family's deep roots in the arts, he began hearing music at an early age. Both of Hall's parents are musicians, so he grew up in a home where music played an integral part of his life. His mother, in particular, was instrumental in exposing him to a wide range of musical styles, including gospel and classical, which helped to develop his natural talent. Hall owes a great deal of his broad taste and skill at fusing genres to his early exposure to a wide variety of musical forms. R&B and soul music, which Hall had developed a deep love for while still a youngster, was flourishing in the neighboring city of Philadelphia. Regularly attending local shows, he grew engrossed in the city's vibrant soul music scene. The iconic doo-wop scene and the expanding soul movement, led by Philly International Records, were only two of the many musical types heard in Philadelphia throughout the 1960s. Soul musicians like Smokey Robinson, The Temptations, and the Delphonics captivated Hall with their profound emotional impact. The R&B and soul music that he loved so much would come to define his sound. Temple University in Philadelphia was Hall's musical education. While he was a student at Temple University, he became involved in Philadelphia's burgeoning music scene, playing in several bands and as a session musician. During this period, Hall began to hone his singing skills by learning to combine the power of rock and pop with the smoothness of soul music. While at Temple, he connected with other artists who shared his passion for experimenting with different sounds and genres, which shaped his own distinctive voice. The majority of Daryl Hall's fame comes from his work with Hall and Oates, but his solo work is just as important. Hall is a risk-taker and inventive musician who constantly experiments with new sounds in his solo work. While Hall and Oates were enjoying enormous success in the late 1970s, he began to take his solo career seriously. Robert Fripp of King Crimson produced Hall's debut solo album, Sacred Songs, which was released in 1988. On this album, Hall delved into a more experimental and avant-garde sound, departing from the pop and soul style for which he was famous with Oates. After its original recording in 1977, RCA Records postponed Sacred Songs due to concerns that it would be too unorthodox for Hall's current fan base. Rock, progressive, and experimental elements were all present on the record, demonstrating Fripp's influence as a producer. Something in 4/4 Time and Babs and Babs were examples of Hall's willingness to experiment with new musical territory and depart from his typical approach. In spite of its delayed release, Sacred Songs was well received by critics and won over many fans of Hall's experimental sound. Hall continued to release solo albums in the subsequent years, allowing him to explore other aspects of his musical identity. Dreamtime, a single from his 1986 solo album Three Hearts in the Happy Ending Machine, peaked at number 10 on the U.S. charts. The album was a return to a more accessible pop sound, but it maintained Hall's signature blend of introspective lyrics and inventive production. Songs like Someone Like You and Foolish Pride demonstrated Hall's continuous skill in crafting mesmerizing pop music with enhanced emotional complexity. Hall was able to collaborate with a wide range of musicians and producers on his solo work, which expanded his artistic horizons. His extensive array of collaborators throughout the years, including Nile Rodgers and Robert Fripp, is a testament to his versatility as a singer and songwriter. Thanks to these collaborations, Hall has been able to explore a wide range of musical styles including rock, funk, and techno, further establishing himself as an adventurous and experimental musician. Live from Daryl's House, which Daryl Hall launched in 2007 as an online music series but has now expanded to television, was an innovative endeavor in his career. Hall hosts musicians from all over the world to his house for live performances and songwriting sessions in Live from Daryl's House. It's a simple but brilliant concept. In its current form, the program provides a platform for participants to experiment with various musical forms and collaborate with musicians from diverse backgrounds to create truly original musical experiences. Notable guests who have been on Live from Daryl's House include Jason Mraz, Billy Gibbons, CeeLo Green, Smokey Robinson, and The Roots. The loose format of the event lets performers show off their talents in a supportive setting, which often leads to unexpected and captivating musical performances. Through his work as both a presenter and a collaborator, Hall has been able to connect with younger generations of musicians and share his music with a wider audience. The success of Live from Daryl's House has given Hall a new lease on life, bringing him full circle as an influential figure in the music industry and a performer. The show has been well received because it pays attention to the often overlooked live music and musicianship in the modern music industry. For Hall, Live from Daryl's House is just another way he shows his commitment to collaboration and creative exploration. Among Daryl Hall's many accomplishments, his voice stands out as one of the finest in popular music. Hall has distinguished himself as a performer in a number of genres thanks to his silky, versatile, and profoundly moving vocal style. He is a versatile and in-demand vocalist because of his ability to effortlessly switch between rock, soul, and pop, each of which brings its own unique power to his music. Hall is often lauded by critics for his exceptional vocal skills, which he uses to great effect in portraying both vulnerability and strength. Hall's ability to seamlessly blend pop music with deep emotions and passion is showcased on songs like Sarah Smile, One on One, and Every Time You Go Away. His ageless voice continues to enchant listeners, regardless of whether he's performing older hits or more recent tunes. Hall is not just a gifted singer, but also a prolific songwriter and producer. He often writes songs in an introspective style, drawing on his own life experiences and feelings to create music that is sincere and accessible. Love, loss, self-discovery, and self-improvement are just a few of the human experiences that Hall has explored musically. His songs are able to touch people all around the world because they convey a deep understanding of life's complexities and a remarkable sensitivity to them. Whether working solo or as a member of Hall & Oates, Hall has contributed to the production values of countless albums. He has written songs that have been commercially successful and personally fulfilling thanks to his keen ear for melody and structure. Hall's production style is characterized by an obsession with detail, as he painstakingly layers sounds by combining vocals and instruments. Tracks like Out of Touch and I Can't Go For That No Can Do demonstrate the meticulous production process, as they create an engaging and deep listening experience through the interplay of different musical elements. Daryl Hall has been a major player in the music business for almost half a century, and he shows no signs of slowing down. His influence on rock, pop, and soul music has been felt for years, and he has been a source of motivation for new and upcoming artists alike. Only a select few musicians are able to have a long and successful career, and Hall is one of them. He does this by skillfully adapting to changing musical trends without sacrificing his creative integrity. Hall has recently embraced the resurgence of vinyl and the increasing love for traditional music, which has resulted in new audiences for Hall and Oates records and Hall's solo work. He has become an iconic figure in popular culture due to the continued use of his music in film, television, and commercials. He continues to draw large crowds to his live performances, regardless of whether he is performing alone or with Hall and Oates, proving that his fame knows no age. Modern painters who have looked to Hall for ideas often incorporate his style into their own. Some of Hall's most famous students are Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake, and The Weeknd. They all credit him with inspiring them to create music that fuses pop with soul in a way that sounds both timeless and modern. You would think Hall didn't want to tarnish Oates' reputation, what with his picture-perfect personal life and successful profession. What gave rise to it? Keep an eye on the news. The pressure to maintain their phenomenal success began to strain the relationship between Daryl Hall and John Oates in the late 1980s. After more than a decade of chart dominance and success after triumph, the pressure to stay relevant in an ever-evolving music business became too much to bear. The expectations associated with the Hall and Oates name began to stifle Hall's creativity. The duo's principal power, the blend of pop, rock, and soul that propelled them to fame, began to limit Hall's creative growth. To broaden their already distinctive sound, he yearned to break free of these constraints and explore new musical territory. Their relationship began to deteriorate under Oates' watchful eye as he prioritized the preservation of their business successes. After experiencing elation at his accomplishments, Hall now felt stifled. He longed for an outlet to explore different styles and unleash his creative potential, free from the commercial restraints of the Hall and Oates label. His dissatisfaction with the pair's artistic direction led him to pursue independent projects. While Hall's solo work gave him the freedom to explore new musical territory, it also revealed the widening gap between him and Oates. Hall wanted artistic freedom, but Oates was more concerned with protecting the duo's reputation and making sure they were financially stable. As their gulf widened, Oates began to appear to Hall more as a businessman than a collaborator in their artistic endeavors, and this strained their relationship. When Hall suggested they take a break from working together, tensions in their relationship rose. Hall had hoped that over the hiatus they would be able to focus on their own ideas and grow as individuals. However, the break had the reverse effect and widened their gap even further. Hall jumped headfirst into his solo ventures, relishing the freedom to explore unexplored musical terrain. Concurrently, Oates began acting on the duo's behalf without first contacting Hall. This was despite the fact that Oates was not very enthusiastic about pursuing separate ventures. He exacerbated the deterioration of their relationship by planning trips and extra assignments without consulting Hall. The experience left Hall feeling betrayed and hurt. He thought the break would be a great opportunity for them to grow as a team and make progress, but he felt Oates had diminished their relationship by prioritizing his own demands. According to Hall's subsequent interviews, this was a watershed event in their relationship, marking the departure from an alliance predicated on trust and innovation. Oates had moved his attention to the career-related commercial matters, leaving Hall to deal with their artistic differences on his own, as Hall had discovered. Hall and Oates' formerly solid bond, rooted in their shared passion for music, now seemed permanently fractured. Their collaboration was not as smooth as it once was, although they did keep working on music together in the years that followed. It appeared more like a business transaction than a creative cooperation. This was in contrast to their former dynamic, which was defined by mutual admiration, original music, and popular songs. Hall and Oates' relationship remained strained throughout the years as they pursued separate careers in addition to their partnership. The delicate balance in their partnership was caused by Hall's desire for artistic independence and Oates' commitment to protecting their reputation. The persistent tension between them altered their once strong bond, even though they never officially severed their partnership. there was more to come. Guess who dared to do something daring when things continued to deteriorate? In 2003, Daryl Hall finally ended his famed and long-running partnership with John Oates when he sued Oates and got a temporary restraining order. The disagreement between Oates and Hall began when Oates sold his share of the publishing rights to Primary Wave Music without Hall's consent. This level of treachery was unfathomable to Hall. More than merely a sale, the deal marked the end of a solid foundation they had built up throughout their long career as one of the most successful musical duos of all time. The court lawsuit was the culmination of years of tension, creative differences, and unspoken animosity. Alleging that his business partner put his own interests ahead of their shared legacy, Hall asserted in court filings that Oates was not being truthful. According to Hall, the foundation of their partnership, the trust and respect between them, was shattered when Oates sold his shares without telling him. There was no turning back the clock on this move by Hall. It was an attack on the very foundation of their connection, not just financially but also emotionally. Hall felt that Oates's decision undermined the credibility of their joint endeavor. Instead, Oates said that he had to make the decision because it was practical and essential for the company. At the end of the day, Hall and Oates had each established themselves as successful solo performers, with their respective careers highlighting work that occasionally diverged from their partnership efforts. According to Oates, Hall had put in a lot of work building his reputation outside of Hall and Oates, and selling his shares was just a way for him to ensure his financial stability after being in the firm for a long period. Oates went on to say that after 50 years of working together, both personally and professionally, it was bound to happen that they would have grown apart. A breaking point had been reached in the long-simmering tensions. The case marked the end of an era for Hall and Oates. They had begun advancing their careers together before the legal dispute, but the fallout from the litigation ended any possibility of a full reconciliation or a return to their earlier fruitful partnership. Subsequently, Hall conveyed his deep disappointment, lamenting the brutal and violent conclusion to their cooperation, which he had always viewed as a cooperative effort based on years of common ground and mutual regard. The case represented, for Hall, the last rupture of a relationship that had been based on faith and creative partnership from the beginning. Although their relationship had been declining for some time, Oates appeared to be more tolerant of the current state of affairs. He seemed to have accepted the fact that they're permanently separated due to their differing artistic paths and financial perspectives. Oates had come to terms with the fact that their musical partnership, which had been renowned for its faultless collaboration in the past, was no longer viable, even if he had no ill will towards Hall. Not even a court battle or betrayal could stop Daryl Hall and John Oates from continuing to perform, although separately. As they carve out their own niches in the music business, the relevance of their personal musical journeys has grown. Classics including Rich Girl, Man-Eater, Private Eyes, and You Make My Dreams, which they co-wrote, are still beloved by fans all over the world. Even though Hall and Oates had their differences, the magic they built together lives on in these songs, which will continue to captivate listeners long after the duo has parted ways. Although the legal dispute has effectively ended any possibility of future collaboration, the music from their most successful era demonstrates the close bond they shared. The Hall and Oates story may have ended badly, but their music will live on in the hearts and minds of listeners long after the dust settles. If you found this video entertaining, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and watch the next video that appears.